Hey everyone, this is Hoot, host and producer of the Sports Daily Podcast. If you've listened to any one of my nearly 200 podcasts, you know that I've been extremely critical, in particular of the white quarterbacks of the NFL, because of their inaction. In particular, Tom, Eli, Peyton, Troy, Tony, and Aaron. Now, this story flew under the radar, but Tom Brady's white privilege and the deal that he had with the Las Vegas Raiders to become a minority owner has been stalled. And supposedly it's because they tried to make a deal that was below what the expectations are for the other owners to approve Tom to be a minority owner for the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I don't know if you remember this or if you saw this, but a while back, Tom Brady sent Kelsey Plum, a white WNBA player, some things in the mail, and Kelsey was understandably very excited when she received it. And Tom has since become a minority owner of the Las Vegas Aces of the WNBA. Now, Tom has sisters, from what I understand, and he's always loved women's sports. Now, I would argue that Tom Brady is still, in his retirement, the most influential NFL player, not only in history, but right now. And for those of you that have not listened to my podcast, you may be asking, well, what have I been critical of Tom Brady for? And I've been critical of Tom because he has not, in my opinion, done nearly enough in the space of being an ally and using his platform to talk about marginalized communities. Does he have to? No. Does Aaron have to? Does Eli or Peyton or Troy or Tony or any of the other white quarterbacks in the NFL have to, past or present? No. Should they? Absolutely. Because if anyone understands what it takes to succeed and to win at the highest level, it's football players. It's not only the most complex sport of any of the sports, but it's truly the epitome of team sports. It's the ultimate team sport. And those quarterbacks know that they are the most important player on the team. That doesn't mean that the other players aren't important, but they understand that they are the catalyst. They are the leader. They are the captain of the ship. Without them, there is no Super Bowl. Now, all those quarterbacks that I mentioned, with the exception of Tony Romo, have won a Super Bowl. But what they all understand is what it takes to get along in a locker room and to bring people together. And recently, a lot of quarterbacks, including Doug Williams and some other quarterbacks, mostly of Eastern European ancestry or European ancestry, white quarterbacks did a mental health commercial. It was a great commercial. And that too flew under the radar. But since Colin Kaepernick, who's also a quarterback if you didn't know, and if you don't know his story, he was whiteballed by the NFL, namely because of President number 45 and the owners who stood side by side with him and decided to whiteball Colin Kaepernick. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Tony Romo, Troy Aikman, Peyton Manning, and Eli Manning stood silent and still, to this day, remain silent about Colin Kaepernick. Now, you could argue both sides, that he turned down a great contract and he was rolling the dice and he's older now, or that he deserves a chance and his body is in great shape and he didn't take the hits that a lot of quarterbacks have taken. Tom Brady was 45, Colin Kaepernick's only 35. So you could argue both sides, and I understand that. But why is it that those guys are not standing up for a fellow quarterback and a quarterback of color who got whiteballed? And it's not just those white quarterbacks. Everyone in the NFL has remained silent. And if anyone understands goalposts moving versus fair competition, it's football players. And we've seen in this country the goalpost moving far too often. But I'm wondering if anyone from the WNBA or the NFL will talk to Tom and ask him if he's willing to do more, to talk about the problems that we still have in this country, from white supremacy to gerrymandering to the disproportionate number of people of color in prisons because of the color of their skin, the lack of educational opportunities still for people of color in the same spaces that we present narratives that have to do with affirmative action. But we won't talk about students that are legacy kids. The disparity in healthcare. I wonder if he'll take a stand and talk about real history that should be taught in our schools, including the books that should be on the shelves and not taken off the shelves. I wonder if Tom's going to talk about anything besides the 10 pounds that he recently lost since his retirement, because he's not as stressed out anymore. He, along with Aaron and Peyton and Eli and Tony and Troy and others, their silence, individually and collectively, is so deafening, and it's just unbelievable to me. I don't understand it for the life of me. Those guys individually and collectively exhibit more white privilege with that platform than anyone that I've ever seen. And before 2016, I could understand it. And maybe even before 2020. But not since then. And it's sad. So, shout out to Greg Popovich, Pop, Steve Kerr, JJ Redick, Rex Chapman, the white influencers in the NBA that continue to speak out. Tom, I hope you do more. For those of you with the Las Vegas Aces and the WNBA, and if Tom gets approved to be a minority owner with the NFL's Las Vegas Raiders, I hope some people whisper in his ear and talk to him and tell him that he could do so much more than anybody else could in sport. So if Tom is going to be a minority owner of 2 leagues that are 70% people of color, then I believe that he for sure, if he didn't already, has a responsibility to do more in these spaces of equality, social injustice, and white privilege. Let me know what you think, and hopefully we see more action instead of the inaction that we've seen from Tom his entire career. This is Hootie Hoot. Peace.